if you don't have a goal or a dream, you're just striding towards nothing. I want to be more successful than my dad, which is going to be very, very difficult because he's still going now as if he was 21 years old. If you don't know how to look after the little money, forget getting any big money because you're not going to be able to handle it. In secondary school, I actually used to sell sweets. What my dad's achieved is astronomical. I do have 2 mobile home parks, which of course, if my dad wasn't my dad, would I own them? No. But did he go, there you go son, you go and buy them? Absolutely not. And if you're going to go in there with the mindset of, oh, I'm just doing it for a bit of fun, etc., then forget it, don't even bother. Because that mindset, I believe, it will not get you anywhere. Because as a traveller, the main thing, the minute you pass your driving test, it's good to have a nice car. Anything from £5,000 right up to 155. Once you get money, is look after it and invest it and make your money work for you, so then you have more time, because the only thing that is more valuable than money, and the only thing that makes money valuable, is time. Every pound you have, treat that as a soldier, and you're the general. You send your pounds, your soldiers, out to war to conquer more soldiers and bring them back.
Let's get into it. So, hi guys, and welcome back to GANGSTER. We'll bring you the most exciting interviews from around the world. Today, delighted to be in Hatton Gardens, London, at Best Kettles, the office of Alfie Best Jr. Alfie, how are we doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So, thank you very much for having me down here today and giving me the opportunity. It's much appreciated.
The pleasure's all mine.
So, for people who don't know, Alfie's the son of one of Britain's richest men and Britain's richest traveller, Alfie Best. Senior? Or,
senior.
Yeah, would you call it senior or just normal Alfie Best, isn't it?
Well, it's arguable. There's 3 of us, you know, so it's very confusing, but senior, I'm sure most people will recognise him as.
So Alfie, like his dad's very much got the entrepreneurial streak, and the apple ain't fallen far from the tree. So I thought we'd come down here today to discuss a bit about Alfie's life, a little bit about his upbringing, and a little bit about his business interests at the moment, and see what he's got going on at the moment. So Alfie, like I said, much appreciated for letting me come down here today, and obviously we'll talk about the shop a little bit down the line, but if possible I want to talk about your childhood if possible, and let's talk a little bit about sort of where you were raised, where you're from, and siblings, family settings.
Well, I was born in Redbridge, East London. My earliest memories was in Romford, because that's where I grew up. My first primary school was in Gidea Park. It was Gidea Park Primary School. I have one sister. My upbringing, it was fairly normal. You know, my dad's always been a grafter. He hasn't changed, not one bit. He's you know, from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, he's gone. No, which has its downsides, because he. Don't get this wrong, he's a fatherly figure, you know, he'll help you where he can, but as a child, he wasn't the best fatherly figure. Our best relationship was when I was boxing. We used to spend a lot of time together, but when you take that out of the equation, all his time is set up with work. You know, there wasn't really much bonding. Like, over the last couple of years, as more of an adult and a late teen, we've done a lot more bonding together. We've done a couple of trips through America, etc., which was actually lovely, and maybe I enjoyed them so much because I didn't really do that as a kid with him. Like, I had spent more time with my mum because my dad was always at work.
And so, you know, the schooling there, was it a private schooling you went?
No, I never went to a private school. I started at Gidea Park Primary School, and then we moved from Romford and we went to Potter's Bar, and I moved to a school called Cuffley, which I genuinely believe was better than a private school. Like, I'm not academically clever at all. My reading and writing, even when I left the school, I'd done 1 year in senior school, my reading and writing was absolutely appalling. I actually learned to read and write through social media, and it isn't up to scratch today, but it's a lot better than what it was due to social media. Like, I had to learn myself to read and write.
So you left school at what, 11 years old?
So I done 1 year in year 7, so I don't know if I've been 11 or 12.
And so what were your parents' feelings then when you were dropping out? Were they supportive of you dropping out?
Well, it's actually like a traveller thing to do, to come out of school. I think now times are changing. I think it's a little bit different, because I think when I haven't got any kids yet, but when I do have kids, I do think that I would like to send them to school all the way through, because it hasn't held me back, but I don't know if it's held me back or not. But I would believe it has. There's opportunities maybe I've missed because I'm not academically clever.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's different ways to crack an egg, but it seems like you're doing pretty well from where I'm sitting at the moment.
Absolutely, like, you know, it's a hard one to say. You know, I'd love to have done something else. You know, there's other things I can't do because I haven't got no GCSEs, or I don't even know what the exams are called, because I haven't done them. I think I'd done my SATs in primary school, and I didn't do no exams in secondary school. So as far as I'm aware, I haven't got any qualifications.
So you said you weren't the most academic, but were you a troublesome kid, or not?
I wasn't the best in school, and it's not that I was a naughty child. If I wasn't interested in something, I wouldn't even bother listening. And I was very, very, very interested in history, which, to be fair, I don't know where that in your life becomes useful, but I was very interested in it, and I was very good at it because it interested me. But like I say, where in life is that going to help you out, to know how many wives Henry VIII had, if it helps at all? And I can remember everyone: divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived.
Yes.
You know, because I loved history.
Yeah, that's good. But so, you know, when you left school at 11, 12 years old, like, what were your aspirations then? Was it to follow in your father's footsteps, or did you have any sort of, what were your goals and dreams as a child?
To be quite honest with you, I actually didn't have any goals and dreams as a kid. That my goals and dreams have actually come now in the later stages of my life, to be honest, within the last 3 or 4 years, because I've done a lot of research into how to be successful, and one of the main ways how to be successful is to actually have a dream board. Or this is what I've watched on YouTube. And if you don't have a goal or a dream, you're just striding towards nothing. So it's only the last couple of years have I started to think to myself, right, I've got to have a goal. I want to go somewhere. And, you know, I've been asked that question before, and it stops me dead in my tracks, because I think never dream too big. And where I want to be more successful than my dad, which is going to be very, very difficult, because he's still going now as if he was 21 years old. You know, he's still going, like, still building his empire, and I'm only just getting started. But when my dad was my age, I am actually further forward than him now. But I've had a lot of opportunities arise because of who my dad is, and there was a stage in my life that, like, I didn't like that. You know, I wanted to be my own man, and now I've kind of thought, like, it is what it is. Like, you know, because I always get, you know, his dad's give it to him. Like, wherever I get in life, people are going to look up and say, well, he's Alfie's best son, it was destiny, it was always going to happen, which I can guarantee it definitely isn't the case. My dad is a very, I wouldn't say he's necessarily tight, but, you know, I've always been taught, if you don't know how to look after the little money, forget getting any big money, because you're not going to be able to handle it. And to be fair with you, since I've been a kid, I've been in school, in secondary school, I actually used to sell sweets. I started off buying them from the sweet shop for 20 or 30 pence each, and then I used to sell them for 50 pence each in school. My locker was filled with Coke cans. You know, we'd buy a multi-pack can, the ones that said not for individual resale, and my locker was filled with them, and, you know, they'd stand you in 70 pence and I'd sell them for £1. But it got me into trading. You know, some days I was earning 20 or 30 pounds, but for a kid 11 years old, every day £30, was a lot of money. It was adding up every week, and it was religiously every day. And then after a while, and again, this is how you educate yourself and you learn, and this is why it was brilliant. Then after I was buying them from the shops, I actually went to work with my granddad, and he sold industrial equipment, and then he sold industrial equipment to a cash and carry. And then I realised where the shops was buying their products from. So now I know where to buy the product even cheaper again. So then I used to buy them from the cash and carry and then go and sell them in school, but it's just one thing led to another. And I wouldn't, obviously, nothing's changed in as for trading, you know, it's just got bigger, more money, more value. You know, so, and maybe if I didn't do that, my trading skills wouldn't be as good as they are today. You know, and like, you know, we're talking about trading in penny sweets. Well, that is my goal, because, you know, what my dad's achieved is astronomical. It's, you know, how could I not be proud of him? You know, he does things that irritate me, and I'm sure I do things that irritate him. I don't always listen to his opinion, because I believe we've all got our own opinion, and I do believe we have to learn from our own mistakes. It's very easy to say I'll learn from the mistakes of others, but the thing is, what a mistake for one person might not be a mistake for yourself. You know, and I you know, take it into consideration, look at it, assess the situation, and then move forward from there. Because my dad always tells me, you know, learn from the mistakes of others. We don't live long enough to make them all ourselves. But I do believe you have to get your fingers burned to learn.
Of course, that's part of the lessons, isn't it? But so obviously you were brought up in a very wealthy setting.
Not always.
No?
No, not always. Like, even though my dad's been very wealthy, sometimes we had to sacrifice for him to invest. And that, like, only maybe the last 5 years, no, maybe the last 10 years, it's been a wealthy setting. Since we moved to Ascot, you know, we've, no, like I say, we've never been hard up, we've never been starving. But like I say, there has been sacrifices we've had to make because of my dad has to invest his money, which is not a problem, but at the time obviously we think to ourselves, but why? But now obviously we understand.
So you know, like I said, I've seen you on these previous documentary TV programs and stuff like this, and I've seen your dad on them and stuff like this, and I see obviously the big mansions, the cars and all this sort of stuff, but were you still raised with the traveller traditions and stuff like this? Were they sort of like, obviously you mentioned the boxing, but sort of the horses, coursing, all the stuff that are traditional, that are associated with travellers? Are you still being part of that?
Absolutely. Like, my background's from travellers. I've got a lot of family that's travellers. A lot of my friends are travellers, like, you know, 50%. As for coursing, no. I love animals, to be fair.
Yeah.
Horses, I have had horses, but not really, not thick-legged cobs. They was Welsh cobs what I had, which we used to take to shows, which there was a small handful of travellers that done it there, and that was the actual clique that I went with. And I did used to enjoy that, to be fair, and I'm sure that I inherited that from my travelling background.
And so you obviously, your family hasn't forgotten where it comes from, because like I said, I've listened to your dad say he was raised in a caravan, and so you still spend a lot of time with the community of families and...
An awful lot of time. Like I say, like most of my family are all travellers, and 50% of my friends are travellers. But you know, halfway through my life, apart from going to school, I didn't really interact with non-travellers at all. And now some of my best friends are non-travellers.
And so let's go back to 11, 12 years old. You left school, and then what did you get into? What were you up to at them points there? Was it straight in business by your dad's side, or...?
No, I've never ever been by my dad's side. Like, to be fair, I don't criticise him, but he can't just put me into a multi-million-pound business. Like, you know, he could put me into a position, but then I would just be a work donkey, let's say. So I've always done my own thing. And when I come out of school, I bought a van off of a travelling friend. I stocked it up with high visibility gloves, workwear, hard hats, blue paper towels, toilet roll, and floor mats, like rubber-edged mats. And I used to go cold calling. I used to go in and out of off licenses, seeing if they would like to purchase a mat. I used to go in and out of offices, see if they wanted toilet roll, anything I could offer on the back of my van. And I had to pay a driver, I had to pay diesel, so I had expenses straight away, which some days it was very difficult, and some days I never earned no money. And some days I thought, why have I left school? Because I know it's only, let's say my driver cost me £60 or £70 a day and my diesel cost me £30 a day. By the time the end of the week, that was £500 X's. And you know, if you was behind, at that age, it used to cause me immense pressure. And you know, it's the sort of thing that'll either make or break you. And it sounds very petty now at the moment, but you know, when you're there doing it at that age, and my dad was never, you know, he was never like, there you go, okay, I'll bail you out. It was, you know, you've come out of school, you wanted to start working, so there you go. This is the real world we live in.
That's good, Alfie. That's what sort of taught you the lessons to obviously be in the position you are now, to be a successful person. In the day, your dad could have chucked you into a multi-million-pound business without any back. Well, you'd have screwed it up. You had no experience or anything like this, so you've done it in the right way. So this is. Could you ever ask your dad for money when you were growing up? You couldn't say to him, "Oh, Dad, give us a few grand," or anything like this when you were a kid.
Honestly, absolutely not. Not my dad. If I needed, let's say I didn't have any money, to be brutally honest, I would have to go third party to my mum, and my mum was a little bit more, you know, she was a bit softer on her baby boy at the end of the day. You know, my dad was very, very, very hard. He's still a hard man now, you know. He will not bail me out of any situations. If I get myself in any situations, he will not bail me out, not at all. He'd never fund any businesses. Advice is what he will give. And everybody in his office, I'm free to use. And I don't mean use as in use them. I'm free to use their knowledge, ask for their advice, and they will help me along the way. So I do have 2 mobile home parks, which of course, if my dad wasn't my dad, would I own them? No. But did he go, there you go son, you go and buy them? Absolutely not. I have got 2 mortgages on them with HSBC. I've had them since I had one since I've been 18, I had the other one when I was 20. So I've had one for 5 coming up to 6 and the other just over 4. But he's never ever gone, right, there's money, go and invest. But the knowledge that he's got is probably worth more than that. But sometimes he's a bit overpowering and he doesn't explain things correctly to me, you know. Like, he gets upset. Like, it's hard sometimes to go and ask his advice, because maybe I've completely misread the situation and he thinks, how actually stupid are you, you know. So, you know, but like I say, he will always give me the knowledge, and financial help, no. But as for knowledge and experience, as much as I need. I was, like I say, I was never hard up. You know, my mum, you know, birthdays and Christmases, I used to get spoiled rotten. You know, I couldn't ask for no more toys and things like that as a kid. And my dad's mum and dad, they also spoiled me rotten. You know, but you know, again, I'm their only grandson. So like I say, I was never really hard up, but as for getting handouts, it never really did happen. And still, if I was to go and ask my mum for money, it wouldn't be thousands. We're talking £30 to maybe go and get food with the boys of a weekend.
Mm. And changing the subject slightly, let's talk about boxing. Obviously, you got involved in boxing as a kid, did you?
I boxed from very young. I started boxing when I was 6 or 7. Boxed right through till I was 14.
Did your dad encourage that? Was it your dad who got you into that?
Well, it's a traveller's thing to do, you know, like...
A 6-year-old ain't going to go to the gym. Was it your dad who took you down there?
Oh, absolutely, of course. I never walked down there,
yeah,
etc. But I loved boxing from being a kid. I just loved boxing, because I actually, as a kid, I actually wanted to be like my dad, and my dad loved boxing. As a young man, my dad used to box. And like I say, it's a very traveller thing to do. Most travellers do it. And it also teaches you so much about life, which people don't even realise. Which, to be fair, boxing's helped me throughout my whole life. Networking, contacts, you know, so even when you're talking to people and there's nothing to talk about and you've both got something in common, it's great. You know, so it does help. And Yeah, but I done it from when I was about 6 to 14, and then I stopped until I was 19, and then I went back for one professional fight. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it. Do I believe I could have been a world champion? Now, no. At the time, yes, because there's no point in doing it otherwise. Like I say, never dream too big. And if you're going to go in there with the mindset of, oh, I'm just doing it for a bit of fun, etc., then forget it. Don't even bother. Because that mindset, believe me, it will not get you anywhere. And it's always easy to point the finger, etc. But what happened was boxing got brought home. And my dad ended up being my trainer, and there was no time off. And then when I left school, like from 11 to 12 and 13, it was all right. But then when I come out of school and started working, and then I had to go to work, come back, then go boxing, like it's enough to ruin anybody. Like, and it was military, my boxing. Like as a kid, it was literally military. Like. But my dad was, he studied boxing, we had to lose weight, rapid speed, you know, like it was probably unhealthy what we was doing, but you know, it's nothing what professional boxers don't do now. But as kids, you know, you need the right nutrition to grow, you know, and I'm sure we were starving ourselves for that for the boxing. But even when I used to lose a fight, I used to be more scared about what my dad was going to do or say afterwards, and I was actually worried about losing, because he was extremely strict with the boxing. You know, every time I lost, it was, you know, like I knew I was getting an earful when I got out of the ring or whatever. You know, it was not good, but
indeed. So change subject. Like looking at your life, obviously it's clear for me. Obviously, your dad's your mentor who you sort of looked up to and tried to sort of copy and then obviously emulate and then obviously try and take over in terms of success.
I have a lot of role models, to be fair. He's not just one of them, and some things he does I think are wrong, but you know, who am I to question him? Look where he is and look where I am. But not that I'd ever question him anyway, because he's my dad. He's always been my superior. Yeah, of course I look up to him, and I don't try and copy him. I was advised by him to do this. You know, he said, like, how much money have you got? Do you think you could afford this? Let me put you forward to the bank. Let me see if I can get you a mortgage. And then it went on from there. Which, to be fair with you, what actually happened was I saved, like, because as a traveller, the main thing, the minute you pass your driving test, it's good to have a nice car. It's a lot more difficult now, actually, which they still do. They do still get some lovely cars, but the insurance it's a killer. And I bought a Porsche Cayman S, and I loved it. You know, it wasn't my first car. It was actually one of my second cars, but it was my first car that I ever I had a wow factor about it. And I had to sell it in order to pay for this site, which every penny of it was all mine, saved up. You know, since I've been a kid, I've been working since I've been 12 years old. You know, to be fair, it was pretty minor. You know, when I was a kid from 12-year-old, you asked what my dream was. Like, your dream is to go and get a good car for when you pass your driving test. You know, I had the van. A lot of people buy a van so they can go to work. You know, insurance is cheap, which is brilliant. That's your bread and butter. That's what I would advise my son to do when he passes his driving test. You know, buy a van, go to work. Depends what he's doing. But, you know, a van ticks every box. You know, you can get where you need to go and you can go to work. What better do you want than that? You know, all these other cars, etc. Yes, it's a luxury for yourself, but 75% of it is to impress other people.
Of course, but it's a fair play to yourself and fair play to your dad for obviously doing things in the right way. So when, obviously I've seen you on the program, the Rich Kids program, buying that gold M4. So your dad didn't buy that for you then?
No, my dad's never bought me a car in his life.
So that's fantastic. Like, congratulations on all the things you've actually treated yourself to. Travellers are very independent, aren't they? So they've got independent streaks.
They do, and I've been very independent, like, you know, mainly my whole life. But they say we're independent. We do have friends that we rely on. You know, I'd help any of my friends out to the best of my ability. I wouldn't get used, but I'd help them out to the best of my ability if I could. If they're not willing to help themselves, then I wouldn't be willing to help them. But if they was in a sticky situation, you know, we all need people to turn to at some stage in our life, and I believe, you know, if I can help somebody, I'd like to do it.
Yeah, indeed. So obviously when I spoke to you last week, and then you obviously mentioned Jordan as well. So if people don't know, close friend of yours, Jordan Reynolds, who's an up and coming prospect boxer at the moment. And it's good for you in your position to try and give other people the limelight, your friends, you know. And I've seen you with Silky as well, and your dad as well. Obviously you've helped him out, experiencing the cars, the helicopters and the videos. And it's great for you to help other people out. It's a good trait to have, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, like I say, you do it and expect nothing back, and then whatever happens after that is a bonus. You know, that's the way I see it. You know, if you do it expecting to get favours returned, you'll fall out of friends very, 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 very quickly.
And so let's concentrate actually on the business empire at the moment. So you've got the two mobile home parks, is it?
Yeah,
is that what you call them, mobile home?
Yeah, yeah.
Quite a lot of them aren't mobile, are they? Your dad's ones.
Well, no, they're not.
What would you call? What are they?
They are mobile homes. That's what they're called. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not trailers. They're not caravans. They're actually called chalets.
Yeah.
And they do have wheels underneath them, and
Oh, do
they
they?
are mobile because they can be picked up and moved. But as you would look at them, like in front of you,
Yeah, they
you'd
look
think
solid
they
to the
are.
ground.
Yes.
And so where are your homes then?
I've got one in Basildon in Craig's Hill, and the other is in Dunstable, and the company's called Best Park Homes because I'm trying to get when my dad started his business, he didn't want his face behind it. Well, fortunately, we've learned a lot since my dad first started, and now I'm trying to get my name out there. Like Alfie Best is a brand. I'm trying to take that further forward. So whenever I start anything, you know, instead of having the aggravation of thinking to myself, what should I call it? Just the best. It's very good, you know. It's not like I'm calling it for nothing. My second name is Best.
It's perfect, isn't it? So when are you going to be buying number 3 then?
You sound like my dad. To be quite honest with you, I'm in a position to buy number 3 whenever, but it's just waiting for one to come up. You know, there's some big fish in the game. My dad's one of them, and to be fair with you,
You're competing with your dad to get there.
And you know, he's not going to put, like, if a site comes up,
He ain't going to leave it for you.
no, the first one he did because, you know, that it got offered to him, and this is where I'm saying the opportunities come up because my dad is who he is. The site got offered to him, and basically he said, you can have that, you know, have you got the money? If you haven't, I'll buy it, it's not a problem. You know, and if he did buy it, he wouldn't have bought it and said, right, wait till you round up the money and I'll then sell it to you. Like, to sell my car, I was back in a van for 6 months, and that's when I went and bought the M4 after I'd done it, because when I bought the M4.
And so how do you find running these then? Do you manage them yourself, or do you buy them and you've got a team that helps manage this stuff for you and run it?
I've got no team, no. The only person that helps me with my sites a great deal is my mum. My mum does. There is an awful lot to it when there's new chalets coming on, construction, you know, when you've got to put the concrete bases in, get chalets delivered, etc. I deal with all of that, but when it comes down to ordering homes and things like that, it's not that I don't know how to do it, because I do, because from the start, if I didn't do it myself, it didn't get done. And if I need any help from anybody in my dad's office, which is there at my disposal, to be quite honest, I have to sit and do it with them. He will not say, if Alfie comes to you, or Alfie boy, so I'm called in the office or at home, if Alfie comes to you and gives you an order form to order a chalet, you order it for him and take his money. No. If Alfie comes to you, you sit with him up the side of you make him do it, and then if he's going to make a frig up, etc., then you pull the reins in. You know, and you direct him in which way's best.
It is the best way. And so let's talk about where we are today in Hatton Gardens, obviously at Best Kettles. Again, using the name properly, great name. So let's talk about how long has Best Kettles been open? When did you start it?
Well, I go off on my first Instagram post because it's virtually a social media run business. Most of my trade happens via social media. I've got a website because like all them sorts of things are standard procedure. Not everybody's on social media. Obviously, we've got a telephone number. We've got a website.
It's the best modern marketing though, isn't it?
Absolutely free. So the 12th of September, 2020.
Oh, so only 7 months ago. So.
7 months.
And how long have you been in here then? In Hatton Gardens?
Since October.
Since
2020.
October. And absolutely the perfect place to be. For people who don't know, this is the home of jewellery, diamonds, watches in Great Britain.
In London.
Maybe in Europe, yeah, outside of obviously Antwerp. And so what sort of watches have you got in then? Purely high-end watches, is it?
No, absolutely not. You know, anything from £5,000 right up to 150,000 at the moment, you know, and sometimes I haven't got either of those in, you know, I buy and sell as I go, because I also source luxury watches as well, and jewellery. We do little bits and pieces with jewellery, but you need a big pot to stock everything, you know, so it's very difficult. I'm usually in and out of most watches. But we stock mainly anything, we buy mainly anything, you know.
And all the main brands people could expect to find down here, the Rolexes, Cartiers,
Rolex,
APs.
Cartier, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, Richard Mille, you know. So far we've only had one Richard Mille.
And anything that people, like say, request or want sourcing, you can find it.
Absolutely.
Get in touch.
Or we will try our utmost best.
And talk to me about the prices and what are your prices like. Obviously, without saying you got competitive prices. Will you price match? Will you?
To be quite honest with you, it's supply and demand. No, I wouldn't say we're the best price, but what I will tell you is we can find what you want. You know, so it depends what you value more, your time or your money.
Yeah, so like I say, once you get into the luxury brands, it's more the exclusive things. These things aren't coming cheap a lot of the time there.
The thing with watches is, what's expensive today is cheap next week, or potentially could be cheap next week. You know, the prices fluctuate,
Okay.
like stocks and shares, let's say, but very, very, very rarely do they ever go down.
And so you would say quite a lot of the watches that you supply there would be good investments then for people then, would you say?
I can't guarantee anything, but I buy watches personally for myself as an investment. So I can't give you any more guarantee than that, you know. So if I do it for
you
myself,
do it personally. You've got a few watches that you put away for the rainy day.
For an investment, yes.
And so they Rolexes? Because obviously Rolex has stood the test of time, hasn't it, for the investment thing? They're all Rolexes.
I've got a Rolex and an Audemars Piguet.
Yeah. And are they untouched, unboxed up, or do you wear them
No,
as well?
they're second hand.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've bought them.
And
So
did you buy them second hand? Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually never bought. I've never bought a watch out of a Rolex reseller.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to do it like that way, isn't it? And I saw your dad as well. He likes to buy stuff obviously at the best price. He hustles for everything and haggles for everything. It's a sign of a successful businessman, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so so you've got any other business ventures that you're involved in? So you've got the 2 mobile homes, you've got this. Are you involved in car sales or anything like this? I've seen, obviously, you seem like you've got a passion for cars.
I love cars, but the problem is I haven't got time to do everything. And the thing about watches is, in order to buy and sell watches, you must understand the market, which I'm still learning now. And I can't understand everything. So if I was to start buying and selling cars, I must understand the market. If you don't understand the market, you're going to get your fingers burned. And the thing with cars is a lot different to watches. But cars can have a massively different spec, can be the exact same model, but a different spec. And hypothetically speaking, maybe 20 or 30,000 pound in the difference. But because you're comparing them on the Auto Trader, let's say, and they're the same model car, you know, you'll think, right, well, that's a cheap car, when actually, in reality, it's not, because this car has this and this Bose speakers, blah, 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 and, you know, that's a little bit too much for me to take on board. So I enjoy cars and I buy them for myself personally, not anywhere near an investment. I just buy them. That is, I wouldn't say it's a dream, but it's actually a goal. But the thing is, again, that the depreciation costs are ridiculous. I've lost a lot of money out of cars, to be fair, but it is what it is. That's at the moment, that's pretty much all I work for. I still live at home with my mum and dad. You know, I don't see no point in moving out and inheriting a load of bills for no reason. When I've got a perfectly good home life. If I wanted to really move, I could move onto one of my sites, but again, I'm taking up a plot which could be paying rent.
Of course.
So
No, do it in a sensible way. And so talk to me about advice that you'd give to people, young entrepreneurs, people that are looking to get into the business world, they don't want to work for people. What sort of advice could you give? What's the best advice that maybe you've got off your dad, or advice that you've learned yourself in your own right that you could pass on to people, Alfie?
Well, the advice I've got to give to people, it wouldn't be advice, it's, I don't know what you'd actually call it, but the thing is it makes you think a lot more really into things. And the thing is, like money, the value of money comes from the risk and the time that we put into earning it. So my advice would be, once you get money, is look after it and invest it and make your money work for you, so then you have more time, because the only thing that is more valuable than money, and the only thing that makes money valuable, is time. And if your money's working for you, then you've got more time to either earn more money, spend time with your family, spend time doing things you enjoy. And you know, that's the only advice that I can give. You know, I could sit and ramble on do this, do that, do the other, but some things that work for me might not work for other people. Some things that work for other people might not work for me. But my advice would be, you know, make your money work for you. The way I see it is, every pound you have, treat that as a soldier, and you're the general. And you send your pounds, your soldiers, out to war to conquer more soldiers and bring them back. And then you send them out again, and vice versa. You know where I'm going with that.
Yes, wicked bit of advice. And quickly going back onto the car things, I see you've got this, obviously you might look like you got the most beautiful red Ferrari a few weeks ago.
Yes, indeed, I did.
What a stunning car, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Very well done. But I see you've obviously got that 6-wheeler Mercedes you or your dad has as well.
That's my dad's.
And obviously, do you rent these cars out and stuff like this?
We don't rent them all out. We rent the 6x6 G-Wagon out, because that it was bought as an investment, and I'm privileged enough to know he's actually one of my very good friends. Actually, I met him on an audition one time, and ever since then we kind of clicked, maybe because we had a lot in common. And is Lord Ali. He's a great character, great guy, massive on YouTube, massive on Instagram. You know, he's larger than life itself. You know,
big fan of his.
I like him a lot, and his dad is also a gentleman. And I put it up on my Instagram, and it couldn't have worked any better, because I put it on my Instagram saying, like, I put a photo of the Jeep up on my Instagram saying private hires available. And then he rang me within like 10 minutes and said, oh, let us put it on the website, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, right, that's perfect. They're set up, ready to go with car hire. So we hire that out through his company, but chauffeur driven. We won't let anybody drive it. You know, it's one of his drivers that drive it, because you know it's a very expensive vehicle to go and get broken.
So we'll have the clip come up on the screen as we speak, and like the interior. What is it? The Mansouri ones?
Mansuri, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
It's a beautiful bit of kit.
All right, so I think we're pretty much done here today, Alfie. Is there anyone you'd like to shout out, or any friends, family, people who've supported you?
To be quite honest, everybody I'd like to shout out, they all know who they are, and I love them all very dearly. And listen, they all know who they are. I don't want to start name dropping just in case I miss anybody out, but if you think that you warrant the love, then, you know.
And and where can people reach out to you as well, for social medias?
To be fair with you, I'm not saying I'm a difficult person to contact, but you know, I get so many messages through social media, and I genuinely don't have time to go through them all. You know, maybe I might start doing a few Q&As on Instagram, maybe to help people out. But to be fair, like I say, I'm so busy. Like, I don't even get time to update my own Instagram sometimes, let alone go through all the messages. You know.
Indeed. But obviously your Insta is Alfie Best Junior for people who want to follow you and follow the journey. And for anyone who's got some expensive watches that they need to sell, how can they get in touch with you for that?
At the Best Kettles on Instagram, and our website's bestkettles.co.
We'll have the link below anyway in the description, and the link to your Insta as well. But like I said, I'd like to congratulate you on your success so far.
Thank you very much.
We're going to enjoy following the journey, and hopefully when you've got some more business news or something like this, we can come back in 6 months or a year's time. Just let us know whenever you're ready, and we'll come down. But like I said, I much appreciate the opportunity today, and yeah, congratulations, and keep it up.
Thank you very much. The pleasure's been all mine. Thank you.